Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program. Ahead of the reopening of the 2026-2027 school year, 803 schools have been closed in basic education and 105 shut down in the secondary sector. The overriding reasons are lack of or fake administrative documents and non-compliance to standards. Without adequate urgent measures, just these two areas can plunge a whole education system into a state of anarchy, produce substandards, and compromise critical thinking. Once this happens, the future of a people is compromised. Control of standards is the most welcome initiative in our education community. But would shutting down schools provide answers to the perennial problem of non-compliance to regulation by particularly private education in Cameroon? That is the question we're going to attempt to answer today on this program. I am Kilian Dandifon Yaoundé, and this is Press Hour. You're welcome back. Enforcing standards is shutting down schools the answer to this perennial problem in Cameroon. That's what we're going to be talking about on Press Hour today. Our conversation is focused on that, and these are the panelists we have on a set. We have Tekwe Solange. She is journalist in the Post newspaper. She is also the founder of the Therapeutic Action Initiative Association. Just by her, we have Max Abaiko, Secretary General, the Association of New Generation Authors. He also is a motivational, like, public speaker. Down to the left of this set, we have Joe Tiomoncho. To say que he is the super scale journalist, senior journalist in CRTV. And here also near him, we have Mr. Njozio Dennis Tata, who is the national president of Anglo-Saxon School Principals Association. Equally, he is the principal of Berila Bilingual High School in Damas here in Yaoundé. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to Press Hour.
The pleasure is ours, Kilian.
At this point,
thank you very much.
We are going to invite Angela Mbong, who takes time to read the newspapers for Press Hour. Angela?
The return of the head of state and Cameroon's historic triumph in women's football were among the major stories covered by the press this week. President Paul Biya has returned to Cameroon after 74 days abroad, with Cameroon Tribune giving the homecoming prominent front page coverage. The national bilingual daily highlights the warm reception accorded the President and First Lady Chantal Biya by crowds lining their route to the Unity Palace. The homecoming also coincides with another moment of national celebration. President Paul Biya and First Lady Chantal Biya received the victorious Indomitable Lionesses at the Unity Palace in Yaoundé this Saturday, following their historic conquest of the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations. The team's triumph also features prominently in the press. Cameroon Tribune highlights the Lionesses' historic 3-0 victory over Malawi in the final in Rabat. The Post describes the performance as commanding, while the Voice newspaper celebrates Cameroon's maiden WAFCON crown. Away from celebrations, the press also looks back on a painful chapter in Cameroon's history as the country marks 40 years since the Lake Nyos disaster. The Garden Post focuses on survivors commemorating the anniversary and renewing their appeal for greater attention. Cameroon Tribune, meanwhile, recalls the scale of the tragedy and highlights efforts made over the years to improve living conditions in the affected communities. In the public sector, the Herald Tribune places Cameroon's state-owned telecommunications company Camtel at the top of the latest ranking of the country's best-performing state-owned enterprises, according to a classification by the Ministry of Finance. The media landscape itself also comes under scrutiny. The post highlights sanctions imposed by the National Communication Council on a journalist from Vision 4, as well as the regulator's nationwide ban on media advertising for medicines, health facilities, and medical practices. Elsewhere, attention returns to road safety following the deadly Dikinimiki accident. Cameroon Tribune details the head of state's gesture of compassion to the victims while noting measures taken against the transport agency and the owner of the truck involved. And in Limbe, the aftermath of the devastating floods and landslides continue to make headlines. The Horizon reports on Territorial Administration Minister Paul Atanganji's visit to the town on Thursday, August 13, to assess the devastation caused by the flash floods and landslides. The paper also highlights the relief packages provided to survivors, describing the gesture as a sign that they had not been forgotten by the nation. The Dawn newspaper puts the number of beneficiaries at more than 500 families following the distribution of relief supplies donated by the head of state and First Lady. Finally, looking ahead to the new school year, Cameroon Tribune announces the recruitment of 3,000 contractual primary school teachers. According to the paper, a joint order signed on August 13 by the Ministers of Public Service and Administrative Reform and Basic Education formalizes this 7th recruitment exercise. The new teachers are expected to take up duties in public nursery and primary schools from the start of the next school year. And that's how the press captured the week. Sunday next, with what the papers would have said.
Thank you so much, Angela. We look forward to having you next week for another edition of Press Hour. We're going to call on the pressman here on the set. One of them, we have 2 pressmen. Joe Tiemoncho, you watch that press review like the rest of us here on the set. And I just want you to pick one of the 2 issues that were raised. We talk about that caught your attention before we get into our focus.
The return of the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, back to Cameroon was headlined in most of the newspapers, and it gladdens the heart that after over 70 days of sojourn out of the country for health reasons, the President could finally gain his health and is back to duty. We thank God for everything. Killian?
Thank you so much. And the President did not only come back to sit in his office, he had what we can call a special gift from the lionesses, the Cameroon indomitable lionesses. Yes, how did you see that? You're going to talk about something else with just the return of the head of state. Dennis?
Yeah, thank you, Killian, for the opportunity. I must appreciate that the father stays out for long and comes back healthy and strong to continue from where he left it. And I will also say that our girls are not performing badly. We must encourage them and thank them for bringing some victory to Cameroon after a long time. I must want to think that the women are already coming up strongly. Men too should learn how to clap for women. The girls, we thank them for that victory.
They are obliged to clap.
Yeah.
They shouldn't even just learn. He is talking about the girls, and I have one big girl here with me. You should be the one to talk.
Getting the press review and the reception the Lionesses had yesterday, it actually really touched my heart. You saw the smiles on their faces, after having worked that hard. Because I remember the last time I watched match was when Foy died on the field. Since then, I vowed never to watch match.
You vowed because you were...
With the fear. But this time around, I sat to watch this final. I said, whatever comes, let me gather. The way they played, the way they gave themselves, I'm proud I actually had to take this opportunity to watch. And I love the way the reward came to them by the presidential couple, the warmth, the hospitality, and the celebration.
Thank you so much.
Would you tell your daughter plays football?
Yes, Mr. Killian, I want to look at it from a different perspective. The president return has created some aura, some atmosphere, and I think it served the purpose. And I must tell you that the president of the republic is applying the Robert Greene's law 48 laws of power. And he's precisely applying law number 16, which says use absence to create scarcity, which will create value. And the president traveling abroad to spend 70-something days created that scarcity. And as Robert Greene says, when you use absence, or you do strategic withdrawal, it creates scarcity, and this prompts people to talk about you, to wonder about you, and all this become magical. And the president's absence created order. Everyone was talking about where is the president? A president that does not create that order, that does not create people to wonder, to talk about him, is not a president. So we want to acclaim the president for doing that, and he is really a political Maradona.
Wow. I should remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that one of the credentials of Max Abaiko is that he's a public speaker officially. So you watch him, you listen to him speak. I think he has defended himself so well. Now we have one other very topical issue on the ground, the release of the 2026 GCE results. They were out. That was, I think, on Thursday, Friday. Today we are Sunday. The O-level general, 62.15%. O-level technical, 6.34%. A-level general, 78.36%. A-level technical, 89.34%. Overall percentage is 74.24%. Now I'm going to get to Mr. Jozo, who is the national president of the Anglo-Saxon School Principals Association, also a principal of a school, Berila Bilingual High School, Damas in Yaoundé. Just as a principal in the school, as the national president of principals in Cameroon, your appreciation of a GCE that had issues, that had a fraud scandal, and can we say all is well that ends well?
Thank you, Kilian. I must begin by thanking our Minister for Secondary Education, Madame Pauline Nalova-Lyonga. I also thank the head of the transition team of the GCE board, Madame Di Bernadette.
I like to call her rather Professor.
Professor Di.
Yes.
Yeah. These two women have shown to Cameroonians that they are up to the task. Why do I say so? To be honest to all of us, they noticed that the exams were having some hitches and they took a pause. That 2-week break gave a different touch to the exams, and the results can show for themselves that at least something was well done by these two women. I will not also stop without thanking some schools that performed very well in the exams by giving us 100%. I will just call a few. I have St. Joseph Foundation College, Afanayoye in Yaoundé. We have St. Ignatius of Loyola College, Bachu, Mamfe Diocese in the Southwest region. We have Seka Baptist College in Limbe, St. Benedict College, Mvolye here in Yaoundé. Very wonderful results they gave. We have Fullness Bilingual School Fu here in Yaoundé. Leadership Anglo-Saxon Academic Complex in Febe, Yaoundé. Arise Foundation.
Yes. Now the list will be long. No, now let me ask you why you choose these schools.
All right. Because their results are outstanding. They had 100% ordinary level, advanced level, both.
Okay. You mean in both advanced and ordinary levels?
Yes.
These schools scored 100%.
Yes.
Then I see why now.
Yeah.
I was going to ask myself, why should you choose a few schools? Okay, I give you space for 3 more.
Yes.
Just 3 more.
We have St. Joseph College, Sase in Boya. We have Mike Danny Anglo-Saxon Secondary School.
The last one.
And Standard Academic Comprehensive High School in Dop.
Yes. To all these schools and others that scored 100%, receive congratulations from Pressa. Now, Joe, you're going to look at another angle to this.
Yes, Kilian, I would say that congratulations to all those who made it, and for those who failed, life continues and you need to work harder, because Abraham Lincoln failed 62 times before finally winning elections to become the president of the United States of America. And so failure is part of life. Don't think that you will be able to kill yourself, take away your life because you have failed. You have just failed in one season, and the next season you will be among those who will be happy, successful candidates if you work harder. 194 ordinary level candidates scored 33 points on 33, and 114 advanced level candidates scored 25 points on 25. And to them we equally say kudos. Killian, what is more peculiar is the number of persons who were sanctioned for this GCE 2026. 2,792 malpractice cases were sanctioned under zero tolerance enforcement following rescheduled general written exams of the GCE for both O and A levels. And so what is preoccupying is why the increasing sanctions. And I think that vigilance has to be stepped up. This is because today...
And that those sanctions should even get more draconian.
Indeed, I don't think we've ever had this number of persons, 2,792 sanctioned for fraud-related cases. Today, you can have an electronic gadget, a digital gadget, just like a pen, that is having all the answers to all the questions that you can imagine on earth, because you know that communication has been made simple. And so fraud, again, is being facilitated in that if the invigilators are not watchful enough, you can have a candidate who is using a pen that is the answer to all the questions.
No, it will beat you as an invigilator. Yes.
Even a wristwatch.
Yeah, wristwatch and some other gadgets.
Other
Yes.
gadgets.
Yeah, thank you so much for those statistics and the comments that you have made, Joe. Now, I'm going to go to Max and end with our one and only lady on the set, Solange. But you first, Mark, on the GCE.
Well,
just briefly.
I don't have much to say, but to associate my opinion, or associate with his opinion. He has already said it. To appreciate the students who made it and those who do not, they should not consider it as the end of life. They should keep on going and prepare for next year to come back better. I think that's that.
Solange, I think there's one thing that has not been said about the fraud saga, and then the rescheduling of the exams. I think you should talk about that. The fact that it has given the GCE some credibility that if this did not happen, we would have lost so much and things might never be the same again.
Thank you. Actually, concerning the fraud and the suspension of the GCE, when the news came to us, I was scared. And I was just angry. I was mad. Like, for the first time I've heard that they suspend GCE in the course of GCE. How would the students not be frustrated, staying maybe after a week or two and then coming back? Will it not disturb them? So one of my bosses, who happens to be a principal in one of the schools, he told me that, no, what the ministry has done is very, very important, and that this action is good. Now, I see from the results. Now, what I want to talk is, even given the suspension, the number of students that went in and they still passed was what caught my attention, given that it shows that there was some seriousness that was added to it. Because even within my neighborhood, when the children heard that exams had been suspended, I saw them go back to the study rooms. They studied extra because they said, with this, there's no way they can slice that speco, there's no way they can do that bombs and keep. And I saw them study, and they actually succeeded very well.
And the one other person who wanted to try again in Bamenda was caught, and I think that the judicial authorities did what they had to do with such a person who was caught pants down, who was caught in action, and should be among those who have been sanctioned. I don't know what happened to the whole school. You know, punishment is not supposed to be collective. They should look for those who are guilty, punish them, and let those who are innocent go ahead with their lives. Thank you so much. One thing, we say again, the credibility of the GCE was saved. Now, we're going into our focus for today, which is related all the same, the 2026-2027 school year. will be opening on September 7, and just about 2 weeks to go. We are here looking at a number of schools that have been shut down in the basic as well as in the secondary sectors. And a good number of schools, we say, have been shut down, about 803 in the basic education sector and 105 in the secondary school milieu. Now, we are asking this question. Enforcing standards. Is the shutting down of schools the answer to these schools that do not respect norms, to these schools that don't have the certificates, the documents to open, but they are everywhere, in your backyard, along the roads, everywhere you see schools? Now, the first thing we are going to look about, we talk about the proliferation of these non-compliant schools, beginning with the principal who is on the set. So, amongst you, what do you say about some of these clandestine schools?
Thank you, Killian. I will begin by saying that people have transformed education into a business. That is why you have many schools around the quarters. Why? Education in Cameroon is one of the tax-free businesses. They don't pay taxes, rather government give them subventions. So people venture into education and they turn it into a business.
Bad business?
Business.
Business per se is not bad.
It's not bad.
But doing business the wrong way,
Without
the wrong way
complying with the norms and the laws.
without compliance.
For in Cameroon to open a school, there are two documents involved. The first document is the creation document. The next one is the document for operation or opening document. If you don't have these two documents, you are not supposed to open a school. Therefore, if a school is shut down for not having the documents, it means that the proprietor or the founder did not take the right procedure. I will still come back to this point. We have regional delegates and divisional delegates in Cameroon. It is their place to make sure that schools are not open without having the right documents. If schools open without this document, therefore I come back to our system. We are those to be blamed. Something not done somewhere correctly. A man buys a plot, starts construction, puts classrooms, prints flyers, goes to the quarters, talk to parents, children, and then children come in September. He opens his doors without a document. There is a problem somewhere. I keep saying it, we need to go to work and avoid such mishaps. Killian, yes, shutting down schools, is it the way out? I will still tell that it is not the best way out. It's only solving 10% of the problem. We need to go back and check schools that are already existing and see how they are functioning. If we must enforce the standards. There are schools in Cameroon that run without laboratories. There are schools that run without workshops. There are schools that run without upgrading, which means they run a department that is not authorized by the ministry. There are schools that run without required infrastructure. There are schools, you see their toilets are terrible, no water to drink on campuses. If we must come to get the standards, Mr. Killian, we must go back and look at the schools already created and see how they are functioning.
Yeah, let me ask you. I was in secondary school in the 1980s, and it's not every school in my area, like elsewhere in Cameroon, that had the privilege to have certain science labs. You had science labs in a few schools, but the other schools that did not have will make arrangements on how to meet in those schools that had the science, especially science laboratories and
practicals.
So when you say some of these schools, you are very correct in what you have said. But there could be some centers, some schools. You have a neighborhood where you have 7 schools. The one school has a good lab. The other should see how they can come around. So could you drop that lab thing, for example?
Let me remind you, as I said from the beginning, people are transforming education into a business and not doing it well. No proprietor, I mean it, will allow his students to go and do practicals in a neighboring school. I mean it. To them, it's personal business. the kids might go there and enjoy the school, and next year they don't come to my school again. So that you see that there's a separation. But if they were all...
That's where there's a problem.
Yes, if they were together, it could have happened. They can share laboratories, share workshops, but then they are not in community. They don't work together. That is the problem.
I'm going to come back. I went into some research, and I got exactly what you are saying, two principal areas. I don't want to call them documents. The document, or you call it a file, to create, because in the file you have a good number of documents, and then a file to open. But before I get there, I'm going to get the appreciation of the other panelists. I go back to Mark, then to Solange, and to Joe. Mark's first.
I want to say this issue of closing down schools year in, year out is becoming a cliche. Yeah. As you have heard this year, next year, you'll still hear again. At the end of the day, it's becoming like, I don't know, it's just like a cliche, like I said. So I think that we should be serious. If we are closing down schools, they should be followed up. We ensure that the schools that have been closed should actually be closed. We should not close a school today, and maybe in 2 months' time, the school, is the principal or the shareholders, they go and pass through the behind doors, meet maybe some collaborators of the ministry, give them some envelope, and they reopen. So, and the next year, we still bring back, maybe they do not confine with the principles of the collaborators, then they still add their name again to the list of those schools that will be closed. So it becomes just a repetition and stuff like that. It doesn't solve the problem. But if we had serious, we close schools, we ensure.
You say it doesn't solve the problem, we should let the schools?
No, I'm coming. He highlighted some identifications or schools that are not supposed to be open. And he mentioned laboratory. May I mention playground? We have so many schools in Douala that do not have playgrounds. We have so many schools that do not have cafeteria, dining shed. How can such a school succeed? Because it is said, we were told in primary school that learning without playing makes Jack a dull boy. And we have so many schools without playing, but they are functioning. So at the end of the day, these schools do not meet the standard, but they are functioning. And those, perhaps, who meet the standard, but they do not maybe confine with some of the collaborators, biceps and precepts, then they align them to be among the schools that will be closed. So we are suggesting that if the government has to close schools, it is a good measure, but there should be follow-up. 1, to ensure that those schools are actually closed. 2, to make a repercussion, that is for the students who will be left so in suspension. What will happen to them?
Yes, we are going to get to those points that you are raising. The pertinent point that you are raising. But there's something which I want you to come back to it. When you say some of the schools are closed every day and we see the schools functioning during the year, obviously it's not all the schools. True. You should understand that some of the schools are closed probably because they were still in the process of getting the documents. And in due time, they get the documents, they come and justify, they have to open and operate, okay? So we should underline that. We shouldn't just see. And do you know how many schools are created every year? We could still have so many schools closed because every year, I'm sure that wherever, I'm not defending anyone, it is bad for schools not to comply with the regulation in force. But you know, every year you have new schools that are opened. So we will continue to have that number, inflation in the number of schools that are closed. Yes, I said we're going to go to some of the points that you raised. We should understand that if a school is on the list of those who were closed this time, and by reopening, you see the school, the conclusion should not just be like you said, that he went behind and bribed. It could be that the person actually justified or had their documents well. But for those who bribed, we condemn them. I said from Max to Solange. Now, it's your turn.
Sorry to just say, I was very careful with my word. I said perhaps. Perhaps. So it's not an ended.
Yeah, now we are on the same wavelength. Yes, Solange.
For me, closing schools that do not meet the standards is nothing wrong with that. It's actually correct for the administration or those responsible for the education in the nation to take that action.
Yes, the way you speak, I don't think that they are getting you well.
I was saying that the action taken in sanctioning schools and shutting them down it's correct.
Yes.
There is no nation that is not governed by laws. And I must tell you that even operating, operating in an institution, whether organization, association, without legal documents, yourself, you are not free. You feel scared. There's always something you're afraid of. But once you operate legally, no matter what comes, you know that you can always present yourself. Everything, your credentials, everything is correct, and you know you can always have your way. So I think that to some extent the government has a reason for doing that, and they are right with it.
Yes, you're very correct. It's like when a citizen has something to hide. Each time you see a law enforcement officer, something pricks you. It's as if he's coming after you. I buy your point so well. Now the order is followed, and now we're going to get to Joe Tiemoncho.
Thank you, Kilian. Thank you, televiewers, once more. You know, if a society is not governed by laws, norms, that society is bound to fail. And so each sector of human endeavor is governed by a number of laws. And I think the policy executioners in education are doing their job in order that they shut down the schools which do not comply with the norms for existence. But then administrative tolerance is such that should not go overboard. I say so because some other people have in mind that because of administrative tolerance, they will go forward to create a school, open it without following the necessary steps in order to get to full operation. And it is the moment for us to make an appeal to such persons to know that going against the law is already a wrong thing. And so they should be able to comply. Additionally, I would wish that the education policy executioners in Cameroon should be able to organize forum or fora each year in the 10 regions, which will give the latitude for people wishing to create schools, people already having schools that are existing without being legalized, to participate in such fora where they will be given orientations and the necessary documents. Sometimes it is just laziness. They think that because there is money to be made out of school creation, they rush into the business without bothering to know whether the laws exist. And so if fora are organized in the regions for each academic year, for checks and balances, who are those who are willing to open new schools, who are those having existing structures, and inspections are done in order to approve those schools that will go on for a given academic year, then it will be a saver.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm going to get back to Mr. Diozo, but let me also share this information that I got when we were doing research for this program. The first file to create a school, that is authorization to create, needs that file to create, that's the document. Then the promoter of that school, proprietor or whoever you have, should have credentials that have these elements. Clean criminal record, that you should not have been convicted, non-conviction certificate. You should have a minimum of education that you have to be A-level. Yes, A-level, that is advanced level or equivalent. That's what I got. Maybe that's not the case you're going to tell me. Then you must create that school on a land surface, that's secondary school, of course, infrastructure of 2,500 square meters. That's minimum for secondary school. Now, technical studies, that's for buildings that go above one level. There should be what we call soil studies to make sure that that building does not sink and things like that. Then now you have the administrative approval, what we're talking about, where you have a recommendation letter from the division officer DO of the area or a traditional ruler, plus legal opinions from the regional delegates you were talking about. Yeah, the regional delegates have to confirm that that is. Now, for opening, the opening file authorization to open, we are giving these facts because it is very difficult. That's where I'm getting to do all those things, knowing what happens. You have to building compliance, that's certified building permit.
Building permit, yes.
I want to ask how many schools have a building permit wherever they are operating. Association of membership proof of affiliation to an approved private education organization. You have to give a list of your staff,
Yes.
administrative and teaching staff, with valid employment contracts and professional qualifications. How many teachers are qualified at teaching most of these schools? That's why I want to raise this, so that in your discussion, you should raise these things. Now, you also have to have that financial guarantee.
Good bank account.
A good bank statement account, if you like. And then pedagogic material, you have desks, you have benches, you have chairs, you have all of that in your classrooms. That's what we have for you, for the 2 files, to create a school. How easy is that for somebody to just get up and create schools?
All right, Mr. Ndakilian, thank you again for the opportunity. As we have just discussed, the first file is the file for creation, with a lot of documents inside. When you have that, the government will give you some time again to prepare yourself and come now for the document for opening. It's not like you can just get up and get the two at once. Give you some time to prepare and come for opening. But what happens is that people just get into the queue. Once they have their creation document, they open the doors and children enter the classroom and they start.
That should be why some of the schools have been shut down.
The rapid results syndrome.
That's
Okay.
it. And to be honest with you, there's one document there that is very, very important. Contract of your workers, that's teachers and administrative staff.
Yes.
Here you find out that in Cameroon, I'm talking as a national icon. Proprietors of schools, national icon.
What is that?
In education.
In education.
One of the leading.
I've been teaching chemistry for 26 years today. The school principal for 19 years.
Congratulations
today.
on that.
And I manage an association. Proprietors don't like the word contracts. They don't like the word contracts. I'm very serious about this.
They want to exploit.
And that is why the lay private sector keep having problems day and night. They want to exploit, use and dump. And I'm telling you, my brother Kilian, that me as a national president of an association of principals of schools, we are behind teachers. Proprietors should be able to sign contracts with their workers. It is very, very important. That contract covers you, the proprietor, and the teacher. It goes on both sides, but they don't like it because it's exploitation. Now, come to know about issues of teachers in the school. To be honest with you, Mr. Kilian, if we talk about qualifications, I can't even talk. If you see
tell us, you have to talk.
If you see those teaching in secondary schools in Cameroon now,
yes,
you will weep. We have to know in universities, level 1, level 2, they are already teachers in the classroom holding chalk.
That's right.
Teaching in schools in Cameroon, and it's allowed.
That's right.
Why? Because they pay them cheap. And 500, 800. But a teacher who's qualified will ask you 1,000,
per hour.
Per hour.
Okay.
Teaching. So the standards to be reinforced, my brother, we need to go down to the groundwork. Who are those holding chalk in the classrooms?
Now, let me ask this question. You will give part of the answer, the others will. If the two ministries, especially the two ministries of basic and secondary education, I don't want to go up to higher education, if they were to go into what you are saying, will almost all these schools not be closed? So you will have about how many schools with a few members of staff? So what is going to happen?
Okay, Mr. Kilian, there is no need having 10,000 schools with low standards. Better have even 1,000 that have the best.
What will you do with the increasing number of people seeking to be educated if you did that?
All right, my brother, I'll answer the question.
Yes, go ahead.
If you want to count the number of government schools in Cameroon, there are really many, and the fee is cheaper. Parents can always key in there.
But the selection into government schools is, stricter. Not everybody will go there.
I'm coming to that. Our government should open up a policy where you don't carefully select children and leave some out. Why do you leave some students out there? Oh, Cameroonians need to be educated. Let them be taken to government school and well trained.
But we are talking about standards.
Standards, yes.
Standards means that you have to be selective.
Yes, Mr. Kilian. When you select the children also, the government trained teachers, isn't it? That's what we want. Teachers are trained by the government. Let them go and teach the children. Don't select some and keep some out in the quarters.
Yes, on this subject, do you have contributions, Joe?
Oh, yes.
And Max?
It is certain that the government schools cannot absorb all the young Cameroonians. And that is why right from the common entrance examination, we have list A, the top performances, and list B, whose performances might not have been the best, but it doesn't end there, that they are unable to pursue secondary education. I think the bottom line is that quality control should be embraced by both public and private schools. And another problem there is expenditure. the private school owners should open up and fear not to register their personnel with the National Social Insurance Fund. From there, they will be able to get retirement benefits. Many of us, or many of those teachers, are clamoring to be government teachers in order to secure their pension. If the private sector was as organized as it is supposed to be, a handful of teachers would even prefer to remain with the mission schools, with the private initiative that are well-grounded. Okay. And the movement up and down would be limited. That notwithstanding, Killian, we would say that administrative bottleneck should be reduced, if not the proliferation of secondary schools in Cameroon will be stifled. Because right now we have situations in the northwest and southwest regions where there is a lot of hatred towards government establishments by those people that we know them, and they recommend community schools or private schools. And I think that in as much as the realities are harsh, and we continue to pray and press harder that education should not be a weapon of liberation struggle. Education, whether you are Tom, Dick, or Harry, you need education as a fundamental human right. And those fellows who are stifling the conditions for children to acquire education are killing the nation. And if their intention is really to kill the nation, they will end up killing themselves because they are chasing those children out of the two regions who now find solace in other parts of the country.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. Just to say, out of the 105 schools shut down in 7 regions in Cameroon, secondary sector, you have Littoral alone has 52. When you go to the Littoral, you know there are schools that we can call them toilet schools, if you like. The Southwest has 11, Northwest has 5. The other regions, the other 4 regions have 37, but there are 3 regions that are exempted: East, North, Far North. And let me just make a quick statement. Joe, you have worked up there,
right,
in the North, Adamawa, even Adamawa and Far North. In the East, you have space.
Oh, yes.
For someone to open school, you don't need, you have space. You have some of these things that are lacking.
Those are even education priorities.
Yes, you have all of that. And it is no surprise to anyone that the East, the North, and the Far North are not involved because they have space. Before you open there, you know that just in passing. That's why I came to that. Now we're going to open this because it's a problem. These schools that have been closed, we are 2 weeks to schools reopening. What happens to the children who have already been enrolled into these schools that are closed down? What happens?
All right, Kila, let me just make a point clear. That is where I think that the closing of schools should be done as early as possible, which means if we see schools that don't make up the standards, even in the month of February, March, declare them already not on the list so that parents should not again go back there to go and enroll.
No, June is not bad. I think this year was done June is not bad.
No, at least 2 months.
At least 2 months to start the school.
Yes.
Therefore, the school children they would look for space in other schools. Government schools are just around. They can look for space, please. We need to also educate these parents. Our parents who are also a problem. Before taking a child to a school, Mr. Joe, find out, is this school authorized? It's good to find out from anybody. Parents need to be educated on where to take children to. Why must you go and pay before you are told that the school was closed some few weeks ago? Find out from the quarter heads, go to Joe's office, move to anywhere and find whether the school has legal documents before you take a child to go and pay in fees to the school. Parents need to be educated, well educated.
Yes, that is the parent who is ignorant of the law, and I cannot blame that parent so much because you can't meet a structure which is open with administration, with classrooms and administrative offices and people. How do you go to find out? It's very difficult to find out. So let us say the parent, yes, has to be blamed. Maybe a parent like you, who's a teacher, who's well educated, but all parents don't have your level. So what happens to a parent who comes to a school is open, registration is going on normally. Beautiful school compound,
but no
and then no document. And after that, it comes out that school you have paid the fee and the
school is closed.
Kilian, we must not lose sight of the fact that some of those beautiful compounds comply with the law once shut down, because the problem may simply be their nonchalance in respecting the law of the time. And so if they comply, it is possible that the authorization is given to them to run the school. But that is nearly the exception, not the rule, because in most cases, those schools that are shut down do not meet standard.
Yes, now you are coming in with the if clause.
Yes.
I'm talking about parents who are already victims as we speak. So what should the authorities, because they have the power?
The authorities should shut down the school. The reality is that it is not because the prisons are full that prisoners will lack space. They will create space for them, even if it means...
it doesn't solve that problem I'm raising.
Yes.
The parent has already paid to the school.
No, you reimburse the money that has been paid and there is no...
Exactly that what I'm saying. Who ensures that it's reimbursed? Because the principal or the proprietor may not.
No, the school authorities should be responsible for reimbursement.
Where should these parents go to? That is the question I'm asking.
The parents should face the law. If they are refusing to pay back what they have paid and the services have not been rendered, they should consult the police officials, the gendarmerie, where they will be able to listen to them, write a complaint, take to the state council, and they go to court and the matter is judged.
That is what I wanted to hear from you. Yes, what other measures do you think that authorities can? Mark was talking about follow-up. I think this is the moment. This is the moment you complete your idea.
Yes, before I even come to that, there is something that is burning in my mind. This issue of schools having exorbitant school fees and paying teachers peanuts is also a contributing factor to the falling standard that we have. Because when you recruit, first, their recruitment mechanism is very poor. Just like Prof said, you just take a teacher, a student, a year one student from the university who has no pedagogy background, nothing. Yeah, just because they are hungry and you think you can exploit them, pay them 500, you put them in class. Now, first, the fee that you pay them does not even encourage them. So they just go there and do anyhow. First, they don't even have the knowledge to teach. Some of them, they speak very poorly. I know many of them, they speak very poorly. And if you don't have something, you cannot give. Nemo that cannot have it. If you don't have, you cannot give out. So first, I think the government should come in.
Through the not only fees, yeah, that is a very important point. That is, it comes back to what we were saying. The staff should, be registered, and the rest.
And also quality staff. Yeah, staff that are qualified. They don't just go and pick people on the street that come and teach because we need teachers. No, I think there should be some follow-up to ensure, because the close down of schools is as a result of this falling standard. A school that does not have the qualification or the teachers that are qualified, a school that does not have maybe the playground or infrastructure and facilities, they do not have all those things, then they can close them down. But now we are seeing that after closing these schools, when the schools are reopened, do we go back to ensure that they have met the standard? That's the issue.
Now, Solange, you must not be ignorant of the fact that the basic, like secondary education, those two sectors have a panoply, a good number of people they call inspectors, who are supposed to go down to the field. You are a principal. What is the time interval?
Yes, inspectors will go to the field. They go per term. They move in the first term, and go in the second term, and also in the third term.
So what should it means? Do you think that the inspectors don't do their work? That this thing persists?
The inspectors do their work. We cannot really.
And why would they not identify some of these things we are raising?
Every institution has maybe their policies or the way they act. The government is not omniscience to know everything. Now, what I can propose is that when there are the parents-student or parents-teachers meetings, these inspectors should be brought in, and parents should be able to discuss their worries openly. Now, because if the inspectors come and the parents are not there, who happen to be the major actors in the lives of these children. The parents are not there. The teachers obviously will want to speak in favor of the school because that is where they eat from. The proprietors themselves, they will also want to defend the image of the school. So I think that for there to be a solution, let every actor or stakeholder be implicated when it comes to discussing these salient
policy
issues.
making.
Yes, in this policy making. Now, I also have an aspect. I want to support what Sir Joe said when it concerns the legalization process. He spoke about a fora that maybe policymakers should open a fora where these proprietors can come together and they discuss. Why? Because sometimes you may really have the desire to want to legalize your institution, but there are also some loopholes. Can I share my experience?
Why not?
Go ahead.
When I had to legalize my association, Therapeutic Action Initiative Association, normally, it doesn't take so long for it to be legalized, and you don't have to spend so much. But because I was ignorant, even though I went to the SDO's office and I met those who work there, the person who took my file was nonchalant about following up for the DO to stamp. It is another person that saw me there and was like, what are you doing here? I said, my file has been here for over 6 months. And the person was like, impossible. This is something that the GO does.
Maximum 2 weeks.
Maximum 2 weeks. And when she threatened to report to the DO, within 2 days,
It was signed.
the person brought my documents to be signed. Then I realized, because I had been saying that maybe the problem is the administrator. Sometimes
Yes.
it's not them. So as he said, opening a forum where these people are edified on what to do.
Thank you. Thank
it's
you for sharing this very important and a defined experience of yours. And in what you were saying, you mentioned something like people think that this is where I must have a livelihood in the inspection process. Now, the ministries, the titular ministries, do the shutting down, the closing of schools, but the enforcement of that law is another problem.
Exactly.
The administrative and security officials have to come in. So what is their role? I hear some of them actually take this as business, to use your words.
Yes, business, because corruption sets in with its ugly face again. It may be the power of the SDO to order the police and the gendarmes to get to the field to effectively shut down those schools. But because he has received an envelope from the school authorities.
Because he might have.
Yes, he might have.
Because we don't want to just say they
actually,
receive
in
it.
most cases, they receive.
Okay.
Let us call black.
Okay.
They receive envelopes and play cool on the shutting down of those schools.
Of enforcing.
And then the education authorities become frustrated.
Okay.
Because they cannot bypass the senior divisional officer, the divisional officer, in order to apply the law. Before we close the chapter, Killian, permit me to get back to the education
Before you
priority
get back,
zones.
I just want to say that if there is someone who is frustrated somewhere because of a divisional officer or senior divisional officer, should send the file up. I know people up this way. You know, the Minister of Secondary Education. I also know of basic education. It's a no-nonsense person.
Yes,
if she receives the file of an administrative official, you know, he gets it to another minister colleague of hers, or she herself is the same thing with the Minister of Basic Education. Get the information up to them. They will touch the real people, and the
right thing will happen.
Or you write to us. We read your contributions on Press Hour. If you listen,
or even write to Cameroon Calling.
You write to
Cameroon Calling will be able to read your worry,
yes,
and the authorities will listen and attend to you.
We have a principle here. Your school is not closed. Is it closed?
It's not closed.
Why is it not closed?
Brila Bilingual High School at Rompo Damas has all the documents for creation and opening.
Did you have issues at first before you got the documents right?
No. I think the founder is a level-headed woman, and she knows how to go through the whole process. And she took her time to have her documents before even opening the doors of the school. So we have no worry at the level of the school at this level.
What percentage did you score?
My O level gave me 96.66% and A level 86.65%.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How many cases of fraud were discovered in your school during that time?
None in Berila and no sanction.
Okay.
Yes.
We will go verify, we will come along with the same answer.
Same answer.
No, okay.
Killian, I was putting my...
let him just...
I was putting
see,
my
we have
thumb,
2 minutes
right.
left to go. So can you do that in 30
Yes.
seconds so that we give 30 seconds round?
Thank you for that. I'm saying that the education priority zones in Cameroon are supposed to be fertile areas for the opening of schools. And business-inclined persons should be able to take interest in opening schools in the 3 northern regions, in the East region, because I think that they will be able to reap much.
Exactly.
Since there are still many youngsters
there.
longing for
The others can come from other areas.
Yeah.
Yes, 30 seconds, please. We don't want to...
I just want to give a take-home message to everyone and educational stakeholders. I want to pray that our minister should be able to probably start checking those who are actually owners of schools. Are they pedagogues? Because I see schools in Cameroon owned by even carpenters. If we start from that level, seeing who owns a school, it will really help the situation.
Thank you so much. I will end with you, Solange. Yes, Max.
So I think the closing down schools is very effective, but it's a good measure, but it will be very effective if we take into consideration, one, if the school meets the standard, secondly, if the teachers are qualified, and thirdly, if the teachers are well paid. If we don't do that, then we cannot talk about standard or maintaining
Thank you so much, Max. Yes, Solange, you have the last word.
So for me, I want to talk to parents and to us who help them. We should take it as a personal determination to enlighten these parents in our different family groups. Like me, when the sanctions came, I immediately notified my family members in other parts of the country, and in the family group, I write to them and insist that before you go to register your child in this school, ensure that you find out if they are operating legally and if they have not been sanctioned.
Thank you. The last word was yours, and you had it correct, Solange. Thank you so much, Lady Solange and gentlemen, for being here, and I hope that our conversation enlightened so many people. If you have something to write about our topic, you go to our Facebook page, you write to us, we're going to read on the next program. Thank you so much for watching Press R Today.